Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 8 of the Flyered Up podcast. I'm your host, Amadeo Gracia, along with Chris Mayer.
What's up, guys?
I did say last episode we were going to have a guest this time, but the guest we tried to get didn't have time in their schedule. So, well, anyhow, we still have Flyers to talk about, and it's been a pretty annoying week dealing with the Philadelphia Flyers. Really annoying. This team, they're on a 4-game losing streak already. 4-game losing streak. It doesn't feel good, and you could tell from the fan base from last night's loss against Dallas. The fan base is starting to separate themselves again.
Oh yeah, this is bad. You're winless in 4, you're pointless in 3. I mean, and it's funny because they haven't necessarily played that bad to be losing these games. It's just they can't put it together.
It's like I do want to say that they haven't been playing bad, but it's just the product that I'm seeing, the sloppiness, I would say lack of awareness, or some players just not playing up to their standards. I'm talking about you, Shane Gostisbehere.
Yeah, he's been horrible the last 3 games.
Yeah. Ghost honestly has been bad the entire season, besides the preseason.
Yeah, he looked promising in maybe the first or second game with what he did on the power play. But besides that, last night he was friggin' turned over the puck 8 times in our zone. And another guy who did that last night was Hag. He just threw it into an area, cost him a few icings. I mean, really, I think the most consistent defenseman right now has been either Braun or Niskanen.
Yeah. And people, I know, I love Gostisbehere. He's one of my favorite players on the team because he's just a very likable guy. But people that put the excuse out there, because Gostisbehere is playing with Haig, that's why he's playing so bad.
That doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, because if Ghost was an elite player in his league, he would bring up the play level of Haig,
right?
Or he can drive that line, but he's not doing it.
And it's so. With the way the Sharks did everything last year, I know this is off topic, but it's just to show, they had Carlson with Brendan Dillon. Does that mean Carlson's bad? No. It just doesn't work for them. It makes sense putting Gostisbehere with Hag because it separates more of the other guys.
And also the fact that Erik Karlsson was playing on one leg in the playoffs.
Right. And you can't, with how deep the Sharks are with depth, you can't have Carlson with Burns because that's what they tried at first and it didn't work. So they had to move it, and if
you can't put 2 of your top D men on the same pairing.
No, especially when they're so offensive. You have Brendan Dillon. He's like a stay-at-home defenseman. Carlson's more offensively, gets the puck out of the zone. It made sense.
That's why I was never a fan of when Hackstall and Scott Gordon put Gostisbehere and Provorov on the same pairing because they're too deep. Both are D men that like to get up into play. Gostisbehere, yes, is more offensively gifted, but Provorov has a little skill in his game. He can get up into the play. So having 2 guys on the same pairing that like to get up in the play, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, I know.
And
especially when you're trying to do it on the power play because they do the same thing on the power play all the time and it never works.
Yeah, and why do you think Fletch brought in Niskanen and Braun so guys like Provorov and Gostisbehere can get up in the play with a defenseman that can stay back?
Right. I said this many times. They're both stay-at-home defensemen and average a lot of minutes.
Yeah. Niskanen is a stay-at-home defenseman, but he knows how to handle the puck, and he's honestly been one of the more consistent defensemen on the Flyers to start the season. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea what to say about this team right now, just because it's the fact that our vets, our leaders, they're not putting the puck in. This whole team can't put the puck in the net.
No one's putting the puck in the net. Let's be real here.
Yeah, it's like. I know in the beginning of the season we had our depth or our young guys like the Konechny's, Provorov Lindblom putting the puck in the net, but you're not seeing guys like Claude Giroux, Kevin Hayes, Jake Voracek putting the puck in the net. Even though Voracek had 3 points against Edmonton, but still, that's literally the only game Voracek has looked good in. Yeah. But it's just I'm not putting that Claude Giroux's playing bad. He just can't find anyone to put the puck in the net, or he can't do it himself, or he's overthinking things.
Right.
Kevin Hayes, he's not this dynamic guy that's going to put the puck in the net every single second of the game. But he has, I think in college, he was a more offensively minded player than coming into the NHL. His game was transitioned to more two-way. So he has offensive skill to his game. Yeah. It's just putting guys with the right people. That's what the Flyers, I guess, are trying to figure out right now. And there's some of these guys, they look like they have chemistry. They just can't put the puck in the net. That's the
Right.
simple fact.
I mean, last night we saw the chemistry, and like 40 seconds in, Giroux over to connecting to Couturier, bang, it was 1-0 like that.
Yeah, that's also the one thing I didn't like what Vigneault. Even though I'm not blaming Vigneault at all,
Oh
I
no, I'm
wanted to
not
see
either.
Couturier, Giroux, and Konechny on the first lines to start the season, but he didn't do that. But
Yeah.
now he's starting to do that, and now he has to rework the bottom three lines.
Hmm.
Because I'm assuming that line of Couturier, Giroux, and Konechny is going to stay. He's not going to switch those guys up because they just have too much chemistry together.
Yeah, especially Giroux and Konechny, and
Yeah,
even Couturier and Konechny. They all. I mean, you could throw whoever you want with them. They're all gonna produce.
I agree.
And like honestly, like it's not even like the only thing that annoys me is that last night they wanted the most perfect play,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a feeling that like since they scored that real nice goal, like the tic tac toe kind of thing where you split it through two defensemen, and you get it over Couturier, it was wide open. I mean, if you score like that early, you're going to want to try that again because you know you can do it again. Well, then Dallas started to realize it by the middle of the second period and shut down everything. it's like just because Dallas is playing bad doesn't mean that they're a bad team. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good players on the team: Sagan, Ben, Pavelski, Corey Perry, Hintz. I mean, Heiskanen, Klingberg,
Yeah,
Ben Bishop. I mean, like
Dallas is a good team. They're just banged up right now, and they're off to a slow start.
right. And
It's
because they haven't had guys produce, the only guy
mm-hmm.
that's really produced for them was Rope Hintz.
Yeah.
He had 7 points.
And the same thing could be said for the Flyers. They're good. We're a good team. No one's doing anything.
Oh
And
no.
our leading goal scorer is Konechny with 8 points in 6 games.
Right.
It's just none of our guys are waking up right now, and that's a little troublesome. And just to
Especially
wrap
early
up,
in the year because
yeah,
like they need like every other team in our division is winning right now besides us. Probably
except
us, New Jersey, and the Rangers are the only teams that haven't been winning.
yeah. And the only reason why like teams like the Devils are above us because they played more games than us.
Right. We've only played 6 games. They've played 8.
Yeah. I think the Rangers also played 6 games. I
Yeah,
think their schedule
yeah.
was like off and on for some reason.
They had a split where like they didn't play for like 10 or 11 days. I don't know why.
I don't know why the NHL did that to them. They didn't go overseas and play into Czech Republic. It's
Yeah,
weird.
that honestly made no sense
Yeah.
because like and that's crazy because they were 2-2 and then they didn't play for a while and then they've lost 2 straight.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to see teams like Colorado, who was off to an amazing start to the season, and then also
Oh
teams
yeah.
like the Buffalo Sabres, also the Anaheim Ducks. Like those three teams that come to mind are starting off to the season really well. It's Colorado. You could say, no, with Buffalo actually, they're 7-1-1 in their first 9 games with 15 points. Colorado, they're 7-0-1. They recently just got their first loss of the season to the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime. And teams like the Anaheim Ducks, the Edmonton Oilers, Ducks are 6-2. The Oilers are 7-1. That's
Yeah,
just ridiculous right now.
that
And
is
it's I do want to say the Flyers are a good team, but they're just not proving it to us yet. That's the problem. They're not
yeah.
proving anything to us. They haven't proved that they're a different team from last year, and they haven't proved that they gotten any better. That's the bottom line. They haven't proved anything,
Yeah.
and they need to do that.
And the goaltending hasn't been great either.
Yeah, the goaltending the start of the season was really well, but then the past 2 games against Edmonton and this game haven't been good.
Yeah.
Elliott in his game against Calgary, Elliott was fantastic. Hard to
Right.
start the season against Chicago, Vancouver, and New Jersey. He played really well, but just these past 2 games, specifically Carter Hart, hasn't played to what he can play to.
Yeah. And I said it going into last night. I wanted Elliott to start last night. And that was only because I wanted to give Hart a few days off, but they wanted to say, "Oh, well, you look at his numbers coming off a loss. Well, he's really good." Well, that obviously didn't help them last night. But then again,
I think
he wasn't too sharp, but they didn't have any offense either.
I think the fact that they went right back to Hart because they didn't want to shoot any confidence that he had because he got pulled in Edmonton, and you don't want to go to because Elliott didn't play that well in Edmonton either, but the whole team in general didn't play that well.
Yeah.
But you don't want to, I would say, throw your young guy under the bus that quickly and just like, oh, you had a bad game, you're not going to start the next one. You have to give him some confidence to go in there and rebound. You just can't do that to a young player. And I like what Vigneault did. I like that he put Carter Hart in there to give himself a second chance to play better. But sadly, didn't work out like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And just wrapping up this end of the week, the Flyers lose to the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday nights by a score of 6-3 when we outshot the Oilers 52-22. But even though we had 52 shots, our chances weren't that good.
Yeah.
And the same thing could be said about the Dallas Stars. We lost to them last night by a score of 4-1. We outshot them by 39-16. Dallas had 5 shots throughout the second and the third period, and they scored 2 goals on those 5 shots throughout the rest of the game. And the same thing could be said like the Edmonton game. We have 39 shots, but our chances weren't that good. It's just that it's either we're throwing pucks to the net hoping they'll go in, or we're trying to make the perfect play. We're not doing the simple things.
That was both.
Yeah.
That was both last night. They tried everything. It was like the third period was literally like they were on the power play the whole period.
Mm-hmm.
But they just didn't shoot. It was like a 20-minute passing drill.
Yes.
Like they wanted everything perfect last night. There was no one going to the net. How many rebounds were in front of Bishop, or they were just thrown to the middle of the net and he just didn't let up any rebound?
Too many rebounds. Ben Bishop he did play really good last night, but there was a lot of chances like on power plays and just in 5-on-5 in general where he gave up a lot of juicy rebounds where the Flyers couldn't capitalize on it because there was no one in front of the net.
Right. I'm telling you. If Wayne Simmons was still here, he probably would have had a hat trick last night with all them rebounds. Honestly.
Or if Wayne Simmons was still here, he would have 0 points and people were saying, why did we sign him to $5 million? That's the other story because that would have happened.
Yeah, that is true.
Because I don't think Wayne Simmons is doing too well in New Jersey either.
Yeah. I mean, the whole team isn't doing good in New Jersey. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but we're not going to make fun of the Devils because we have no right to because our team is sucking right now.
Right.
So, yeah, we're not going to trash the Devils. We're just not going to do that because our team is sucking. So let's go into this game on Wednesday against the Oilers. Like I said, we outshot them like 52-22. Only blustered 3 goals. And this was like a welcome home game for Carter Hart because he lives in the area. He had like a ton of friends and family at this game. And he was terrible. He gets pulled halfway through this game for Brian Elliott. And it's just, you got to feel bad for the kid because he was looking forward to this game. And I guess just all the nerves, having all of his family watching in the crowd, I guess he was more focused on that. But I'm not going to give him any excuses. But I think he was trying to be a little too good. I think that was the problem.
Yeah, I think his nerves just got to him.
Yeah.
He didn't look too hot. He didn't look like he was focused at all. I mean, some of the goals were some of them weren't his fault. The first one, that was a turnover. That was horrible.
Yes.
The second one, Barrel was wide open in the slot. I don't know who was covering him. I think Provorov didn't have him. And really nothing Hart could do. But both goals beat him short side, but they were on opposite sides. So one was glove side, other one was blocker.
I would say the one that could have been one of his fault was the breakaway goal for Connor McDavid because he tried to go out and take a poke check. But
you can't really do anything.
Beats that.
Right. I mean, McDavid skates like, what is it, like 10-something miles an hour, 12?
At least.
Yeah.
The guy is unreal.
Yeah, it's insane.
So going through this game, even though we did give up a little bit of the goal scoring, the Flyers, once again, like in Calgary, they got off to a very slow start and allowed the first goal of the game within like the first minute and a half. And it's Leon Draisaitl off of a bad turnover from Oscar Lindblom, and it goes into the back of the net for a 1-0 Edmonton lead. But going near midway through this period, the Flyers didn't look like, I guess they let that goal get to them, the start of this game. It didn't get to them. They didn't look like they played slow. The Flyers do get a power play, and it's Jake Voracek getting his first goal of the season from a nice passing play from Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier. I think the goal was like a little bit on the red line. He like shot it and it bounced in off Koskinen into the net. But it was a nice goal for Voracek to tie the game there at 1. Yeah. But then, like you said, Chris, just with at least 5 minutes left in this period, Ethan Bear was left wide open in the slot. Just no one was covering him, and he buries it past Carter Hart to make it a 2-1 Edmonton lead going after 1. And like we both said, the Flyers didn't play bad this game. Mm-hmm. I say they outchanced Edmonton, but the chances weren't good. That's the problem. It's like they're outplaying the opposition. They are really outplaying the opposition. They're just not getting good chances. They're just like mindlessly throwing the puck to the net, hoping it's going to go in, or they're just trying to set up the perfect play. and it's not going to work.
Especially in today's NHL. It's just not going to work.
Especially in today's NHL. So let's go into the second period. This was all Edmonton scoring right here, even though the Flyers, like I said earlier, even though this was more of a closer period because shot totals were 11-10 Philadelphia. So Edmonton came a little bit pushing in the second period. It starts off a little bit midway into it. Connor McDavid just blowing by Justin Braun. And Carter Hart tries to come out for a poke check, misses, and Connor McDavid puts it over his shoulder to make it a 3-1 Edmonton lead. And Connor McDavid, just in general, this was his third point of the night, and no, this was his second point of the night actually. He had 5 points regardless this game. He was just unreal.
Yeah, of course it had to be against us too.
Yeah, of course it had to be against us, but Connor McDavid is just an unreal player. He's really fun to watch when he's not playing the Flyers.
Yeah,
but
I think he hates the Flyers just because Manning injured him. And now he's teammates. Yeah, now he's teammates with them.
So why would he hate the Flyers still? I don't get that.
Well, like, I don't know. He always plays good against us.
There's a lot of players in this league that like to play against the Flyers just because I guess the Flyers are just like, hey, we're playing the Flyers tonight. I'm going to bring my best out. So why not?
Crosby.
Well, Crosby is just unreal as well.
I know. Ovechkin, it's the same thing, and he's one of the best players in the league.
Yep. So after the Connor McDavid goal, it's just almost a little under 2 minutes later, like 1:59. Edmonton has a power play, and it's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who just puts it short side past Carter Hart, and Hart had no chance of stopping this. This was just a perfectly placed shot by Nugent-Hopkins.
Oh yeah.
For his first goal in the season, and it's a 4-1 Edmonton lead. And then going near the end of the second period, Edmonton has another power play, and it's Leon Draisaitl from Connor McDavid to make it a 5-1 Edmonton lead. And this basically sealed off the game right here. Even though the Flyers did come back in that third period, there was no chance of them coming back in this game.
No, they were out of it after that. I was just.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, wow, because they had so much momentum, and then right when McDavid scored on the play from Braun, that was it. Yeah, it was just gone.
Yeah, Flyers had all the momentum in the beginning of the second, but one mistake goes into your net, and that just like kills everything they had, and that's what happened.
It's so frustrating, like, because it's not like, I know that they can win these games. Like, they should have at least won, maybe at least 2 or 3, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could have won 4, but that's a stretch. It's so frustrating because I know this team is better, and I know this team's good too. Oh my god.
It's just that, like, I don't want to make the excuse that in Western Canada, with all the travel that they've been through, I think the gas was just taken out of their legs, but the team's not using that as an excuse. So I'm not going to give them that excuse either. But maybe the travel was starting to get to them by the time they hit Calgary.
Yeah. Well, even in Vancouver, it looked bad, but then they regrouped towards the end of it.
Yeah, they played better for the second and third period, but I think it's probably evident that the travel was getting to them. Yeah. And even in the game last night against Dallas, they didn't look their strongest, even though they outplayed Dallas majority of the game. Yeah. It's just that high tempo, high energy play that Alain Vigneault brings. The Flyers don't look like they have it right now.
I think it's probably just because they're so used to the play from Hackstall, which was just, try to go out there and win, and that was about it. He didn't say much in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed on the ice because, well, I don't even know how, because half the time you'd hear that he wouldn't say anything, but they'd come back from like 4 goals down in the third period and tie it.
I would say that's more talk from Claude Giroux saying, hey guys, let's get back into this game.
Yeah, that is true. Because and that was around when they had Simmons too, so Simmons was always a big vocal guy.
Yep. I don't want to get into that stupid debate where Flyers fans don't think Claude Giroux is a captain. That's just an annoying debate. Like it shouldn't even be a debate.
It sounds like every caller from 97.5 The Fanatic on the Mike Missinelli show. It's the most annoying thing when people say, well, why don't they trade Giroux? Why don't they trade Voracek?
Because you can't.
Let's think. Right. 1, they can't. And 2, who is going to take their contract?
No one.
Exactly. And I think Giroux or both of them, I don't know who, but one of them has a no trade clause.
Giroux has a no trade clause.
Yeah. I figured it was Giroux. But
But that shouldn't even be the question. No, that shouldn't even be a topic either, because why would you want to trade away Claude Giroux?
Right.
He's the best player on his damn team.
Right. You can get a lot for him, but then again, there's no reason to. They have the defense, they have the goaltending, they have the depth. They just got to put it together right now.
Yep. So wrapping up this game, early in the third period, a familiar foe from the Edmonton Oilers claps from the point from Connor McDavid. It's Brandon Manning to make it a 6-1
Ah,
Edmonton lead. And this is when Brian Elliott's in the net. Carter Hart gets pulled after the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal, and then Elliott comes in to relieve him. So Elliott plays the last half of this game. He allows his goal to Brandon Manning. And Elliott didn't look as sharp either, but had no help in front of him as well. So it's a 6-1 Edmonton lead after that Brandon Manning clapper from the point. And then the Flyers are trying to do whatever is possible to try to get a goal in the last few, I guess, 10 minutes of this game. They do get 2 garbage goals at the end, with Oscar Lindblom tipping one from a Jake Voracek shot, and then Jake Voracek getting one on a very late power play. But it's just goals late in the game when you're down 6-1, they're meaningless. I put no value into those goals.
I don't either.
It looks good on your stat sheet, but at the end of the day, those are meaningless. And the Flyers, it makes the score look better than it should have. And the Flyers lose this game by a score of 6-3. And Alain Vigneault, even though he said he liked the way the team played through this game, they just weren't finishing. They weren't getting the right chances. And that's basically been the summary of this entire week. The Flyers have been outdueling their teams, I guess you can say, except for Calgary, because they really struggle in Calgary. But they've been outplaying their opponent. They just haven't got the goaltending to stop the puck, or they're just not getting the right plays to put the puck in the net.
I saw a stat last night that they've outshot the opponent like 30. It was like, it was 91 to like 30 something, like 38 or 36, and they've been outscored 10-4.
Oh boy,
I don't get it. And honestly, Koskinen, like the only really, I'd say, like elite goalies they faced were maybe Bishop, and I'd say underrated would be Markstrom.
Yep.
And that's
100% agree with you. Koskinen was he like a free agent that the Oilers signed last season?
Yeah, and he's not bad, but he's not great either.
He's not mind blowing.
No.
Yeah, he's just he's an average goaltender, and he stopped 49 shots.
Yeah.
And then
which is going to happen too, because like every goalie who plays in this league is able to do that. It's just if you don't have most goalies are better because they have the better defense in front of them.
Yep. And the same thing could be said about David Riddick. He's not this mind-blowing goaltender. Yeah, he broke the scene last season when he had more of a breakout season last year with Calgary, but he's not this elite, fantastic goaltender too. He's an average to good goaltender. That's it.
Calgary hasn't really had any goaltending since Kiprusoff.
I would say Mike Smith was a better goaltender than Riddick, but he's old. That's why.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Calgary started Smith in the playoffs last season, because he had more experience in the playoffs. And he played really well for them. It's just that the team sucked in front of them.
Yeah. They won the first game and then lost 4 straight.
Yep. It's just the fact that it's a general Flyers tradition. We can't beat average to bad goaltending. And we make them look fantastic. It's
not even like it's the goaltending too, but like they can't even beat average to bad teams. Like the last few years, they've only really the only home games they really win are against the teams that are either they're rivals with or they're just good. That's just a trend they've had.
Yeah, and I said this going into the Dallas game. I thought this Dallas game was going to be more important than Edmonton, Calgary. Even Edmonton was a really good team and Calgary was struggling. Yeah. Dallas was really struggling. They had 1 win going into this game. Yeah. And this was the Flyers' chance to prove that they can beat down on a team that's struggling early on into the season, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
That was the main problem. And that's why I thought this game was more of a test for them to prove themselves, but they didn't. It's just this team needs to prove it to me, though. This team still needs to prove it to me.
Yeah. I mean, they've had their moments. The first 2 games they've looked great.
Yeah, they've had their moments, but like the past 4 games, just even though Vancouver, they got the point out of that, and the team looked good the second half of the game, but just like after Vancouver, those last 3 games just haven't been.
Yeah, because like that whole Western Canada road trip, they were pretty bad defensively.
Yep.
I mean, they gave up, 3 if you count the shootout goal, 3 against Calgary, and then 6 against Edmonton.
Yep. And they gave up 3 more to Dallas.
Right. And then, 4 if you count the empty net. But
true.
And 2 with Vancouver if you count the empty net. But Even still, that goes under your record.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only thing that worries me about this team is honestly the special teams doesn't look good.
The penalty kill to start off the season was really good, but then going into Edmonton with a really hot power play going into that game literally torched our penalty kill.
Right.
And our power plays, it started off decent to the season. Started off, they had a goal in like 4 straight games on the power play, but the past few games, it's the setup. It's the setup at the power play that I think that's why they're struggling. Because
I don't even think it's the players where they are. I think it's just the way they get into the zone.
That too. Because the past few seasons, the Flyers have really struggled to get into the damn zone on the power play. That's why the faceoff's always so important.
Right. Because if they don't win I say it all the time, if they don't win the faceoff, they're just not going to score on the power play unless they dump it in. Because they do the same thing where Gostisbehere goes up and does this little stutter step thing and passes it back to Giroux or Voracek. And every team reads it by now. It literally, once you do it 3 times, they know it's coming again. Or even 2. Because some guys have just been in the league so long and they've realized that they do it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only thing that, like, the power play last night, what was it, 0 for 4 against Dallas?
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. And the Edmonton game, they had 2 power play goals.
Yeah. It's the main thing that I don't like about this power play is that they put Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek on their offside, which I don't like.
Giroux has absolutely no lane for a shot whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Unless it's a completely wide open, he has no lane for a shot. The only thing he has is to drop it back to Gostisbehere or throw it down low to Van Riemsdyk.
Or try to find a cross crease to Voracek.
Right. That's about it.
And that's the one thing that made the power play besides last year, the past few years, because Giroux has a dynamic one-timer when he can get it off, and he's just a really good playmaker. He's just a really good playmaker on that power play. And you're taking him off his shooting side where he has to rethink what to do. And I know they tried this like halfway through last season, putting Giroux on his offside, same thing with Voracek, but it just looks like it hasn't worked out. Yeah. And they also took Gostisbehere off the top unit, put him on the second one with Niskanen, and they put Provorov on the first unit. And I'll say Provorov looked decent on the point of the first unit.
I'd rather have Provorov out there than Gostisbehere because he's absolutely done nothing on the power play since his first year with the Flyers.
Yeah.
I feel like he takes too long to shoot it, and if he does, it gets blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the same thing all the time. He can't retrieve pucks as good as he did, at least as good as he used to. I just want them to have. You think there's any way that they could do 2 defensemen on the first unit?
It's a possibility. They could put out there Provorov and Sanheim. Who knows?
But then who would you rather have, Van Riemsdyk or Hayes? Because they're obviously going to keep Voracek or Giroux.
Yeah.
They're going to keep them both. Personally, I would rather have.
Do you want a guy that's a good net foot? Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's a really good net foot presence, and same thing with
JVR. They don't pass it to JVR that much
because I think they can't find a way to get the puck through. That's the problem.
Because they try to force everything last minute.
Yeah,
and like the first 1:20 of their power play is them retrieving the puck.
Yep, and then the same thing could be said for JVR in these first games the Flyers have played. He has no goals, but it's not for a lackluster of not getting chances.
Oh,
he just can't bury it.
Right.
And also the one thing that I don't like is putting JVR on the third line.
That line does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's a line of Scott Lawton, JVR, and Pitlick. They're not going to do anything.
Right. You can't put all they did last night was just cycle it around to each other and take it to their feet. That's all they did. They haven't generated any chances. Like, the only way that line can at least get better is if either they call up someone or if they switch it up. Honestly, that line is going to get better because when Patrick gets back.
Yeah.
But as of now, it hasn't really done anything. And that's because they've just had the bad Patrick injury, which hasn't really helped. It's really made everything troublesome because, like, do you think that if they had Patrick right now, could they maybe have won maybe two or three of these last 4 games?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I think they would actually produce more because Patrick is a playmaker. He can set up things.
especially on the third line, because Pitlick, who is actually pretty fast and he can stick handle pretty well.
Yeah,
for a guy that's pretty low on the lineup.
Yeah, I haven't mind Pitlick at all.
No,
it's just I don't think he's a third line player.
Nah,
but,
he's fourth line guy.
Yeah, Pitlick does have an ability to put the puck in the net. He has shown that in the minimal time that he has with Dallas, but he's more of a fourth line guy, a fourth line, possibly third line guy. But I think he fits more on a fourth line. And it's also with. I know Dave Isaac said before this game against the Dallas Stars that Patrick looked like he's getting close to returning, but it's still like Fletcher's still saying he's in that week-to-week stage, but even though he's been saying that since he's been injured, week to week. So I really don't know what the situation is with Patrick right now.
I mean, there really ain't much for him to say because it's something it's not like it's a lower body injury or something with his foot.
It's migraine,
and you can't mess with that stuff.
Yeah, you can't.
It's because if he gets hit or a concussion, he could honestly die. That's no joke.
But there has been photos like surfing up during each practice that Patrick's starting to possibly practice with the team now, and he's not wearing the non-contact jersey, so that's more of on the good sign right now. So hopefully we can see Patrick by the end of the month or the start of November. Hopefully we can all hope for that.
Yeah.
So before we get into this, the brutal loss last night to the Dallas Stars, before we analyze that, let's pause for a little bit to hear a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
And welcome back to the Fired Up Podcast. I forgot to mention before the break, going into this Dallas game, I think it was around like Thursday, Friday, the Flyers sent down Connor Bunnaman to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. They loaned him down there. And it's not to the fact that Bunnaman just hasn't looked that good. And I think the main reason for Fletcher and AV sending him back down to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, they want him to play games. And with this lineup, Bunnaman was probably just going to be that one guy that was in the game, or he was going to be the healthy scratch. And that's been the case for these first 5-6 games here.
Yeah, that's going to be the same thing with Chris Stewart.
Yeah.
It's either he's going to be in the lineup or he's just going to be a healthy scratch, or he's really, I think they only brought him in just because, one, Fletcher likes him, and two, if someone gets hurt.
Yep. And yeah, I know the Flyers are lacking that guy that can go out there and just provide some like toughness and bring some energy to the rest of the team, like getting a fight and stuff like that. They're missing that grit. But it's just like, honestly, as the days that go by, I don't mind the Stewart signing as much as I used to. Because I honestly, during this game against Dallas, I liked what he did. He did his job, but the Flyers didn't retaliate after that. That was the problem.
Yeah. He took Alexiak to the ground, man. That was a good fight. That's one of the best fights I've seen since Ryan White.
Yeah, and I liked what Stewart did. He flexed the muscle there a little bit. I like that.
The little tap of the bicep.
Yep, I like that. But I digress from the Stewart fight. Even though that was a really good fight, the Flyers didn't do anything else to regroup from that, as they lose to the Dallas Stars by a score of 4-1. And the same thing could be said about the Edmonton game. With this game, the Flyers completely, I guess, outworked the opposition, but goaltending wasn't there, and we couldn't bury the puck, and we were trying way too much to do things. But it didn't look like that way in the first minute of the game, where Claude Giroux, Travis Konecny, and Sean Couturier had a nice little tic-tac-toe action to bury it into the empty net past Ben Bishop for an early 1-0 lead for the Flyers. But the Flyers get 2 power plays after that. And this is what my problem is. You get 2 power plays after that. You already scored a first goal against a struggling team. You get 2 power plays, and you don't score on either of them. Those 2 power plays should be the opportunity for you to destroy this team, to bury them down into the ground.
If they scored on both of them power plays, that game would have been over at the first period.
Yes.
Because they would have had all the momentum, because Dallas really didn't have much momentum. I mean, they didn't really need to have that much momentum. They were up by 2 goals, 1 goal for majority of the game.
Yeah. And remember what I said. Dallas, coming to this game, they had one win in their first 9 games. They were 1-7-1 going into this game, and this game, the Flyers couldn't capitalize on 2 early power plays after their first goal, and Dallas woke up after that. And after the Flyers don't score on their next 2 power plays, it's Hintz with a really nice dangle in the Flyers zone. He puts it right past Ivan Provorov. Was it Provorov or Niskanen that he wrapped around?
Niskanen.
He did a nice little deke around Niskanen. He puts it on Hart, but Hart can't control it. Gives up the rebound right back to Hintz, and he buries it past him to tie the game at 1. And I'll give it to Hintz. That was a nice play. But I blame Hart on that because he couldn't control the rebound. And this thing could be said for Hart the entire night. He just didn't look sharp. He couldn't control rebounds.
Yeah.
And he faced the minimal chances, but he just couldn't stop the puck. He couldn't make that big save. And that was the problem.
The only goal that wasn't his fault was their second goal. That was a beautiful pass.
Yes.
Beautiful, and it was perfectly placed too. The guy had a stick on the ice, tipped it right by him, and the pass was even better because it went right through. I think it might have been Provorov or Sanheim.
I think so.
The only problem I have with it is why was he left that wide open?
Mm-hmm. And
it's the same thing every year that they've done on the penalty kill.
Left the guy wide open.
They played Washington. They left Ovechkin wide open. The one guy you do not want to leave open on the power play. They do it for years. I don't know why the guy who's on either the left or right side has to creep in. There's no reason for that.
Yep. And that guy you were talking about is Issa Lindell. He, like you said, he had a stick on the ice. Really nice passing play by Perry and Gurianov. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Sorry if I butchered that so much, but it was a really nice passing play on the power play to make it a 2-1 Dallas lead. But on that same power play, or penalty kill for the Flyers, it started off really good. Scott Lawton had a breakaway and he missed the net.
I don't know where the hell he was shooting that. If that was that would have missed a soccer net.
Yeah, the funny thing is that every time we get a chance for a breakaway, whether it's a penalty kill or just in general, it's always Scott Lawton that gets the breakaways.
That is so true. That's so true.
It's Scott Lawton, Michael. It's always the bottom 6 people. It's never guys like Drew Konechny, Couturier, Jake Voracek, Hayes. It's never those guys. It's always a guy like Lawton or Raffle.
I think one of the last times I've ever seen a breakaway from someone like that high in the lineup might have been Voracek.
We get so unlucky with these breakaways because it's the guys who just can't bury it, and that's what I hate. And I feel like Hayes could be that guy on the penalty kill because he's shown it that he can break loose and he can get those breakaways, but he just doesn't do it that often.
He's got the moves in front too.
Yeah, he does, and it's just the fact that it's always Lawton getting those breakaways on the penalty kill, which it's
Lawton's
funny,
one of their speedy penalty killers as well. Yeah, and that was just like, sad. Yeah, and I don't know who passed it to him, but they waited too long for the pass. I might have been Raffle or Lindblom, but someone waited way too long for the pass. I was like, come on. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep. And after that, Dallas has a 2-1 lead after 1. Second period comes underway, and the Flyers. Oh my god, there's so many things to talk about this damn second period because even though nothing happened, the Flyers outshot Dallas in the second period 9-1, and we couldn't do anything.
The only really major chance they had was when they had like 3 guys in front, and I don't know how the hell it didn't go in.
Yeah, it was. Wasn't it on a power play? It around. Wasn't this on a power play where Bishop gave up an easy?
I believe so. Yeah.
He coughed up the puck on the blue paint, and he was down and just didn't know where the puck was, and no one could go to the net and buried it in.
Yeah, it just sat behind him.
Yeah, it's the lack of awareness or just not knowing where the puck is. That was the case right there. No one was able to go up to the net and just bury it. That was my problem there. And also it's like the defense played good. They didn't allow many chances to Dallas, but it's just the fact that we couldn't do anything to generate any momentum off that, which was the problem.
Yeah.
And the second period remained scoreless with us outshooting Dallas 9-1. Then we go into the third period. This is early on. This is Dallas's first shot of the third. And it's Corey Perry unassisted, brings it through the slot on his backhand and buries it past the shoulder of Carter Hart for a 3-1 lead. And mind you, this is probably the first shot Hart has seen since probably like the beginning or middle of the second period. But still, Hart has to save that.
The only problem I have is that it's a horrible turnover and a perfectly placed shot.
It's a perfectly placed shot, and no one was covering Perry or trying to take the puck off him.
No. No one back checked last night either whatsoever.
Yeah, no one did. And even though it was a perfectly placed shot, I still believe Carter Hart has to come up with that save. He just didn't get his shoulder up in enough time or his arm up in enough time. Mm-hmm. So it's a 3-1 Dallas lead after that. The Flyers, they try to do stuff, and they just can't do stuff. There was no penalties in the third period, actually, so we had to do this all on 5-on-5. And the Flyers outshot Dallas 18-4. Couldn't get anything going. It was 5-on-5, but the Flyers were in the zone for Dallas majority of the time, which is basically felt like a ton of power plays, but it just wasn't. The Flyers were trying too much to find that perfect pass, or they tried to shoot the puck with no room whatsoever where it was blocked, or it was a clear, wide open shot to where Ben Bishop conceded easily. And I remember you telling this to me yesterday, when the Flyers would sometimes take shots, they would always shoot up high against Ben Bishop, and he basically just vacuumed them up.
Yeah, because he's like 6'5".
Yeah.
There's no reason to shoot that high. The only time you really shoot that high on a goalie that's that big is if you have a wide open net like Couturier did, because he's a big guy. He's gonna cover a majority of the bottom.
Yep. And to no avail, the Flyers can't find a way to bury it past Ben Bishop. They pull Carter Hart with around like 3 minutes left in this period, and they still can't do anything with the extra attacker, and it's Miro Heiskanen that buries it into the empty net to make it a 4-1 Dallas lead, and that's how the game finishes. And Flyers fans throughout the entire stadium, I know, Chris, you and me were sitting right next to each other, the entire stadium was booing. The fans...
that's just one thing I don't do. As much as, even if they play bad, I don't boo them. I never have.
But
never.
I don't blame the fans for booing this team, because...
Oh, I don't either. I'm just saying I don't.
As a fan base, we boo our teams because we know they're better than what they are providing us. And we know this team is a lot better than what they're showing. So the boos from Philadelphia mean is pick it the hell up, because we know you're better.
I definitely agree with you. I just don't boo them. That's just something I've never done. But I totally agree with them booing them. They were horrible last night, honestly. You can say, oh, well, they outshot them. It doesn't mean anything if you put one goal in the net.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know what to say with this team right now. I feel like we got a little overhyped in the first two games, saying this was, even though it was like too early to judge, it did feel different those first two games just because of the way they played. But just like these past 4 games remind me too much of last year's team. Like, I hate saying that, but they remind me too much of it.
Yeah.
Where we start the game off insanely slow. We allow the early goal. We've had to find a way to scramble back late in this game in order to tie it in the draw to overtime. It just feels too much like last season. And the Flyers, I know a lot of these guys who played under Dave Haxtell. There's still a ton of them from this team that is just letting old habits like come to fruition right now. They're letting these old habits get the best of them, and that's what's happening. And they need to get over it, because Alain Vigneault's not going to stand for this, because he's a guy that knows how to win, and he has his work cut out for him, because he has to whip these guys into shape, because they're not playing up to their expectations. And I'm sure this entire coaching staff is pissed with this entire team.
I'm sure the players are pissed too.
I'm sure the players are pissed too. I remember I think it was Drew in one of the games on the West Coast in Canada. I think it was in Calgary when Gostisbehere took a stupid penalty on the power play. And they showed a camera shot of Drew just like flat out yelling to himself or screaming that he was that pissed, because it was either he was pissed at Ghost for taking that penalty, or he was pissed at the power play just for not setting up properly. But I'm sure Drew is taking this to heart, because he puts a lot of the blame on himself, and that's what some people don't see. Drew puts a lot of the blame on himself.
Yeah, that is true, and especially because like as much crap as Giroux gets, he's a proven leader, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows. Like, it's just the way he handles things. Like, they had a scrum against Edmonton the other night, and he was like, oh, F that. He was getting all mad, and I don't think, you ever know, like, he always goes over to the bench and slams his stick and breaks it, and he gets all pissed off, and because he's been here for so long, he just wants to win so bad. He had the chance early in his career in 2010, and he hasn't had anything since.
Yeah, because he hasn't had the team around him.
Right. He's had absolutely no one around him besides maybe Wayne Simmons and Voracek.
and Scott Hartnell. That's basically it.
That's about it. They've had no goaltending in God knows how long besides Carter Hart. The defense has been absolutely atrocious.
And
I just don't understand how a team that has Nick Schultz, Radko Gudas, Brandon Manning, and
Nick
Michael
Grossman.
Delzato, Nick Grossman, like, how do they even go to the playoffs?
I don't know.
It's like, how does that even work?
Because Drew carried the team on his back that one year.
Right. And that was the year Gostisbehere was really good.
Drew. It was 2013-14 when Laviolette got fired and Brewery was the interim head coach. Drew started off the season very slow, and that's a lot of people were questioning his place in captaincy. And then he just tore it up the rest of the season, becoming one of the finalists for the Hart Trophy because he carried the team on his back.
Yeah. See, I was talking about the 15-16 season.
Oh yeah, I know that season. I think that was the one season where Drew's play was starting to decline a little bit. I guess because he was starting to get injured.
Mm-hmm.
But Ghost did pick up the pace. But still, it's just Claude Drew does not deserve all the hate that he gets.
No, I listen. Like people say, oh, he doesn't do anything in the play. No one does anything in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They barely even make the playoffs. Exactly. And
you
if
can't
they
do
get
anything
there,
if you don't get there.
Exactly. If they get there, they win a minimum of 2 games.
Mm-hmm. They did that to Washington and they did that to Pittsburgh.
Like they've had the last time they made the playoffs, they couldn't hold a lead for anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, I get a tweet on my phone. I'm like, oh, all right, 1-0. Oh, what 1-1? Oh yeah, we scored. 2-2. I'm like, oh, nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, after that whole rage moment, after this stretch of losing right now, it doesn't feel good right now, and that's expressed in the way we feel. And Flyers fans just yesterday on Twitter, social media, they're starting to lose faith in this team because they just believe it's the same old, same old. I don't want to go down that path of being that typical Flyers fan that gives up on the team already, but I'm not going to be overly optimistic as I was in the beginning of the season. They have to prove it to me. I'm still gonna watch every game. Well, disregard that. I'm gonna watch every game regardless because I'm a fan of this team. But I'm not gonna be overly optimistic saying, "Oh, this is gonna be an amazing, fantastic year." No, this team still has to prove me something.
No, I'm not gonna sit here and say that they're gonna win every game after this because they're not.
Yeah,
like they need to prove it because I say this all the time. Our division's too good for them to lose these games early in the year. So they need to step it up right now.
Yeah, they definitely need to step it up. A lot of our veterans need to step up. They need to start putting the puck in it. This whole team needs to put the puck in the net, actually. And they got to give Carter Hart some help. And Brian Elliott. They got to give these guys some help. And that's not going to be an easy task going into Monday because we play Vegas. That's going to be difficult because Vegas
coming off a shutout too.
Yeah, they shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know early on people were talking about Vegas. They were really good against the Pacific, but they struggled against teams outside of their division. But it's Vegas. They are a dangerous team. When Fleury's hot, he's hot. It's just that team is too good. They got guys like Pacioretty, Mark Stone, William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchessault. That team is deadly. And the Flyers have a really good opportunity on Monday to find a way to wake themselves up. And they're going to get a little extra help possibly on Monday as per Dave Isaac, I think a couple hours ago, he said that the Flyers look like they're going to have Joel Farabee in the lineup tomorrow against the Vegas Golden Knights. So it looked from Joel Farabee in his first 4 games with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, he has 4 points. That's 3 goals and an assist. So he's looked pretty good down in Lehigh Valley ever since getting sent down the very last second of the season. Well, the very last second of the preseason, actually.
Yeah, I like the call up. It's going to bring a spark to the offense. I'm hoping.
I would hope it sparks something, but
hopefully something better from the third line.
Yeah, I know Flyers fans wanted guys like Farabee and Frost to make the team from day one, but I know guys like Terwinski, Bunneman, they proved it more than Farabee. But then there also comes to that mindset that is, if you have these guys, your top prospects, these guys like Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost, that prove that can, well, not say that they prove, like, given the chance. It's like you could do that, like, given the 9-game test thing. If they play 9 games in the NHL and if it's not working out, you can send them back to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms.
Right.
It's just something like that.
I think the only reason why Twarynski and Bunneman made it was because they were able to score in the preseason and Farabee wasn't.
It's not for the lack of chances. Farabee was just
Oh
hitting
no.
constant posts.
Yeah, he hit like 4 posts in the whole preseason. Had a ton of chances with Frost too, and then Frost ended up getting injured. But
Frost has been playing good in Lehigh Valley too.
I think he scored his first goal last night.
Yeah, he got his first goal last night.
Yeah,
and I think he has like 3 or 4 points, 3 points in 4 games or 4 points in 5 games. I think it's one of those two.
Yeah, something like that. Because the Phantoms started not too long after the Flyers did.
Yeah, and Phil Myers, I think ever since being sent down, same thing with Farabee. I think Myers has like 3 points in the 3 or 4 games that he's played. So Myers has looked pretty good playing those top defensive minutes. Yeah. But I feel like you're eventually going to see guys like these guys like Farabee, Frost, Myers eventually on this team. Farabee, we already know he's probably going to be playing tomorrow. But the question is with Farabee, what line is he going to play on?
I say third.
For some reason, I feel like he's going to play on the second line. I just have that feeling.
I could see it, but then again, like, are you gonna? Well, actually, no. That doesn't even make sense. What I was gonna ask you because they already switched up that line with Lindblom, Couturier, and Konechny. So I say second.
Right now it's Lindblom, Hayes, and Voracek. So do you put Lindblom on the third line and he plays with Lawton and JVR, and then you put Farabee on the second line? That could be that can add a little more depth to the lineup. That could make the third line a lot better.
Yeah, especially if you put Lindblom on the third line, and then Lawton with Van Riemsdyk, and then what did you say the second line was? It
would be Hayes, Voracek, and if you put Farabee there, it'd be Farabee on the left or right line.
Yeah, I think that's good. And then keep Couturier, Giroux, Konechny, and then fourth line you just put Stewart. Whoever else you want to put.
You could put Pitlick on the fourth line with Raffle and Stewart, or no, actually,
you can put Raffle at center.
No, Twarynski. We forgot Twarynski.
True.
You probably scratch Stewart next game, and then you put Twarynski on the fourth line. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably Stewart will be a healthy scratch next game.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, because he didn't really do much besides the fight.
Yeah. Even now, I'm not like complaining anymore about the Stewart signing. Like he did his job, but It's just that
he did what he's paid for.
Yeah, he's doing what he's paid for. It just didn't work yesterday because the team didn't respond to it. That's basically what happened.
And that was to wake him up because at the time, I think it was tied, wasn't it?
No, I think
Dallas. 2-1 or was it tied?
Dallas had to lead at that point.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was after that power play goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was off the ensuing face-off.
Yep.
Because him and Alexi, I saw Alexiak like throw the gloves. I was like, wait, what the hell? And I saw Stewart. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's just hopefully with this Farabee call-up, it could spark something with the offense. It's like I know that he was so snake-bitten in the preseason. It would have been nice to see him get a little action in the NHL beforehand, but I guess maybe sending him down to the AHL, that probably built his confidence up because he has 4 points in 4 games. So
yeah, he proves that he doesn't need to be down there right now.
Yeah, and there was an interesting stat with Farabee. I think in all the leagues he's played for, he's always scored like points in like the first like 4 or 5 games. So I think with the United States development team, he scored points there. With Boston College, I think he did the same thing. And now with the Phantoms, he has 4 points in 4 games.
Let's hope that continues with the Flyers.
No, let's hope so. Or he's going to hit 5 posts in a row. That's going to be either.
He's going to hit all 3 posts on one shot.
Yep. It's not going to go into the net. It'll hit the left post, the crossbar, the right post, and then land into the glove of Fleury.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a pinball machine.
Yep. Well, to wrap up this podcast, the Flyers this week, it just hasn't been fun to watch this team, and they need to get better. They need to get better to prove to this fan base that they're a better team. And right now, they just haven't been doing that. The first 2 games were a sign of hope, but then these last 4 games just haven't shown us anything. The team has been struggling, coming out to start the game slow, allowing an early goal, and then just losing the teams that you should beat. I would say Edmonton's the excuse was because Edmonton's really good this season to start off, but like teams like Calgary, who's struggling out of the gate, teams like Dallas, who is struggling out of the gate. Those are the teams you had to beat, and the Flyers did not do that. So, without further ado, to wrap up this podcast once again, I don't know why I said that again, but what are you going to do? So, we have a game tomorrow against the Vegas Golden Knights, 7 p.m. start. Farabee is going to make his NHL debut, so that's going to be fun to watch, and hopefully the offense can do something. And who knows what Alain Vigneault is going to do tomorrow night with the starting goaltender. Is it going to be Carter Hart? Is he going to go back with, or is he going to go to Ryan Elliott? We have no idea. So we won't find out probably until tomorrow because the Flyers didn't practice at all today. So, Chris, what are your lasting thoughts on this week of Flyers hockey, and what are you hopefully going into this week?
Well, this last week was very stressful. The new week, I woke up this morning. I said to myself, it's a new day. Last night was last night. Hoping they can come tomorrow night against Vegas and, hopefully get a win. And then maybe continue that into Chicago.
Yeah, I hope the same exact thing. So, finally, thank you guys for listening to this 8th episode of the Fired Up Podcast. We will have another episode coming up within the next few days. You guys probably won't see this on iTunes or Spotify until like probably Monday, Tuesday, or something like that. So, thank you guys for listening to this latest edition of the Fired Up Podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.